Good morning. So the swell had arrived earlier than forecast, and I was resigned to just kind of fiddle around when Johnny pulled up and invited me to come out and hang down at the south end. And so I was reluctant at first, but then I'm like, well, why don't I just go hang out with a friend? And I'm so glad I did. It was really fun to watch, and I'm glad I got to see this. A few years ago, I was talking to a Lyft driver from Africa. He was telling me how in his homeland, all his friends were literally within reach, and all he had to do was turn or look or say their name, and they were there whenever he needed them. And here in our country, he was living, all his friends were a phone call away, and he had to get in the car and drive to see him if he wanted to see him or hang out. And I heard that recently a member of our surf community took his own life, and I immediately felt sad that often we're so disconnected and isolated and separated that we don't even know that our brothers and sisters are suffering. And even if we did, we're often so overwhelmed meeting our own needs that we wouldn't know what to do or couldn't do anything. And what pulls me out of apathy is stories like that African cab driver, that not everybody lives this way, that there is another way. I remember hearing that there's not a single documented case of a Native American person voluntarily leaving their tribe to join colonial life. And yet there's even the saying, going native. There's tons of stories of the colonists leaving the so-called modern world to go tribal, to go native, to live that way. There's something about that bond that is so healing and welcoming and meets human needs that people want it, regardless of what they might have to give up. I've also heard that some cultures don't even have words for I, me, or my. That we, us, are, they're so ingrained in the fabric of how they live that doing things together is the way. There's no even thought of doing it alone or being, so the idea of stress and strain and having to struggle and go it alone, it's not even a concept, And so when Johnny said, hey, let's go to the South End, I resisted for a minute, but then I'm like, forget my plans. Like, let's go hang out and get to see this. And then, as we were walking down the beach, Johnny was glad that I was with him, that we were able to, we're going down to kind of give the other surfers some room just to be there together. Even if I'm on the beach and he's in the water, it's still, it's like that compersion thing. Maybe we can learn from the pelicans. This day was a bit earlier. When I pulled up, it was like this, kind of racy and punchy and not looking super foil friendly. And so it's kind of hemming and hawing. And then all of a sudden it changed, as the beach often does. And it just got this like soft and friendly and super foilable and, man, super fun and just awesome to be out together. And I almost didn't go. And I got the text from Christian. He's like, oh, it looks great. So I'm like, all right, I'm there. Again, that like, I'd rather hang out with friends, even if it's not going to be that great. Or, like maybe I look at the cams and I can talk myself out of it. But just that one word from a friend, hey, let's go. And, so I'm on it. In my learn to foil journey, first I was the only one. I was doing it alone. There was no one to do it with. And I almost gave up. It was so hard. And then I had a friend who kept nudging me like, hey, you got to come down and see this. Come down and check it out. There's something going on here. So finally I went after hearing from a second friend, like, hey, you got to come down and take a look. And so I went and I see Jeff and Denton and Haley, and they're all out there learning to foil. And they're even ahead of me, with Travis and everyone. And I'm just like, and that just lit the fire. That got me going. I was like, now I not only had people to do it with, but I have people, mentors to look to who are, a little bit ahead of me to say, hey, I'm stuck. How can we, what do I need to do? What change can I make? And that kept me going. Those early days were so hard and so frustrating. Everything was an experiment. So I needed that. I needed that push, that drive, that pull from friends, that, hey, we're going to do this together. And often Christian's there early, the first one, and he's out and he's coming in, he's almost done. He'll see us all pull up and he's all right, I'm going back out. I love that. That's just the way he is. He's like, everyone's here. Let's go. And I almost like doubly didn't go. But then Ben, I got a second text from Ben and he's like, hey, Sloat looks good. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going back to Sloat. So instead of like fighting that whatever plans I have, I'm like, let's go with togetherness, with community, with coming together, it's more fun together than it is trying to figure it out alone. And going even further back, the only reason I started sup surfing Ocean Beach is because I had a friend who only sup surfed. And so my choice was either go shortboard without him or on my own peak or sup surf together. And so I'm like, I had to, I was fighting it. There was something in me that wanted to go shortboard, but eventually I was like, all right, I'd rather hang out with friends. And that led me to foiling, and that led me to winging. And now, we got this whole foil crew and this whole group and community, and everyone's stoked and inspiring and exciting. And it's awesome. And so my hope, my dream, my wish, my inspiration is that we're headed in the direction of building, creating, being together in a way that meets everyone's needs, and we all taken care of. We don't have to think about what we don't have or how we're not going to have this or that. People being taken care of and feeling together is built in. It's woven in to the way we live and the way we do things. So that, looking after each other is it just happens without any effort or feeling overwhelmed. And it's a wonderful together thing. And so thanks for watching, and I hope to see you out there.